Good day, Mindsetters, and welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Mindset with me, your host, Michelle Green. Welcome, welcome. A few weeks ago, I had asked you about what you were being a magnet for in your life. Whether it's a magnet for love and happiness and joy and abundance, or are you being a magnet for scarcity and lack and worry? Well, I'm here to tell you that whatever it is, please know that you are 100% responsible for what it is that you are attracting. Now, today I'd like to talk about emotional intelligence. How many of you have heard of the term emotional intelligence? It's also referred to as EQ. And the Oxford Dictionary definition of EQ is the capacity to be aware of, control, and access one's emotions and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. And this is definitely one of the keys to both personal and professional success, managing your own emotional intelligence. Now, developing your EQ or emotional intelligence requires communication between two parts of your brain. The first part is the limbic system, which is the emotional center. And the second part is the prefrontal cortex, which is the rational thinking center of the brain. EQ is like a muscle. And you know, with muscles, the more you lift the weights, the more you work them out, is the bigger they get. Well, EQ is the same way. The more that you develop the skill, the more that you work on the skill, the more it will develop and become stronger. And you will become more emotionally intelligent. I would like to make it clear, first of all, that emotions and feelings are neither right or wrong. And secondly, I'd like to also make clear, and I've said this before, that thoughts create emotions. They create our world, really, but they do create emotions. And emotions are simply your body's reaction to what you are or have been thinking, whether or not you're thinking it on purpose. The reason why sometimes you feel the reason why sometimes we have no idea why we are feeling the way we feel at any given moment is because your belief system and other unconscious thoughts are running on autopilot. And I'll give you an example. Think of something that you don't have right now. Think of something that you don't have that you do want, but you don't have it right now. Now, you may think you're unhappy because you don't have it, but I'm here to tell you that this is not true. You're only unhappy because of the thought of not having it. Because if you didn't have it, but you don't care if you had it or not, would you be unhappy? It all stems back to our mental filters and our unconscious thinking patterns and belief systems. Situation arises, and then the interpretation comes about, which is the thought, and this provokes the emotion. Now, in psychology, this process is addressed in cognitive behavioral therapy, which is CBT. And it's used in therapy, life coaching, psychology, all of these things. And it is strategies developed to interpret unhealthy thought patterns and then use positive self-talk and or imagery to redirect the patient's thinking in order to change their mood. So thoughts, again, producing emotions. If we are in control of our thoughts, we can control our emotions, right? If we recognize the emotion, identify the thought, change that thought, that's where the redirect comes in, you will by way change your emotion, right? Now, here are two ways to change your thinking in order to change your emotions. The first thing is, the first line of defense is to focus on something else. Change the channel. And this is what I tell my coaching clients all the time. First line of defense, change the channel. Think about something that makes you feel good. Think about your happy place. Think about a happy memory, right? Say aloud a affirmation, but just do anything you can do to change the channel, change the thoughts and the imagery, change the channel. And the second way is to find a new perspective. I know this is going to sound very simple, and it can be, but if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So change your perspective. If you change your viewpoint, your experience of the situation, any situation, will change. And I'm going to go even further to say that thoughts create emotions, but thoughts create everything. They create everything. Think about it. There's a thought, provokes an emotion, which provokes making a decision, to take an action that results in the result or stuff or whatever it is. Example, the phone, the telephone. I mean, we have smartphones now, but let's think about the telephone. Back in the day, the rotary phone, the actual phone that was invented. That couldn't have come about without a thought. It started with a thought that provoked an emotion, and a decision was made to take an action, which resulted in what we now call the telephone. Again, the computer, for instance. It started out with an idea, a thought, which provoked an emotion to make a decision, to take an action that resulted in a computer that almost everyone has in their home and workspace, right? So I hope that I have convinced at least one of you listening to this podcast episode that your thoughts create emotions, which leads to things, i.e., your world and what you're attracting. So I've been asked by many of you, how do I control my thoughts and emotions? And I'm going to share with you a couple of tricks that I have, or hacks or tips or whatever you want to call them, about changing my thought pattern, and by way change, and then therefore changing my emotion from negative to positive. The first thing is I give my thoughts a name, and I call my thoughts Buddy. And the first thing I do is I try to ignore Buddy. I try not to take Buddy too seriously, so that when Buddy starts rambling negative crap and imagery into my head, into my brain, into my thoughts, I simply say to myself or out loud, if I'm not, somewhere where I would be deemed crazy, I just simply say, Buddy, you don't know what you're talking about. You have no clue. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not me, and you don't know what you're talking about. So that's the first thing. Second thing is I protect Buddy because Buddy is easily influenced, right? So I ask myself if I believe what Buddy is saying at that given moment when those thoughts are coming in to evoke emotions. I ask myself, do I believe what Buddy's saying? And the second thing I ask myself is what Buddy's saying coming from other people? Because that's a whole different ball game. If it's coming from other people, that right there could be a reason why you have a unconscious bias or an unconscious thought pattern about anything. It could be your parents, it could be your professor, it could be your colleagues, your boyfriend, your friends, anybody. So you need to ask yourself, is what Buddy is saying, your thoughts, whatever name you choose, is what Buddy's saying coming from other people? Because then chances are we shouldn't even be acknowledging what Buddy is saying, right? Third thing is I observe Buddy. I take note of what Buddy is thinking of at any given time, what Buddy is focused on at any given time. And if I do not like it, I choose a new thought. I change the channel. And that is my first line of defense when negative thoughts creep in, because they do. We all worry. And I'm going to tell you right now, fear and worry is just negative affirmation, right? Or it's just negatively praying, right? It's sending the wrong signal to the universe when we fear, right? Fear is just creative thinking negatively. There we go. I finally got it out. Negative thinking creatively. And that is what fear is. So don't let that creep in. Give your thoughts a name, ignore it, protect it, and observe it. And last but not least, choose a new thought, a more positive thought. Change the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Let's Talk Mindset with me, your host, Michelle Green. I appreciate your comments. I would love it if you would like, share, and comment on this episode. Join the conversation. I welcome your ideas for podcast titles, and I welcome your comments. Join the conversation. And until next time, stay mindful. Ciao.